Kyle here from All Media Reviews. You know, that's what I think the new name's going to be, even though I'm not at 500 videos. I'm almost. This would be video number 495, I guess. Thank you for anyone who found my channel and subscribed recently. Again, it's kind of a follow-up to the Prog Corner YouTube Prog video last week. Unfortunately, things happen, life happens. We had a family emergency and, you know, family members, you know, my mother-in-law, she's going to be staying here for a while, you know, just to kind of restrict or limits how much time I have to do to YouTube. But as an alternative, though, or on the flip side of that, to use a vinyl term, this room here that I'm now filming in is still a work in progress, but it's really taken shape and it's really starting to, as you can see, I mentioned the albums of the year thing. I got covers. I'm still running into some challenges with this thing, but I'm trying to like decorate it. It's really still a work in progress. It's a potpourri. It's a conglomeration, but all the vinyl has been alphabetized. The CDs, though, that's a different story. So I was the albums of the year thing. Just to maybe this is really just a blog, another video blog, and a review of local natives. I want to do them, but I want to show as many physical copies as I can. So that would entail the vinyl records behind me, and of course, the compact discs, even some cassette tapes, maybe. But I don't have them all, you know, and I'm probably just going to do like a top 10. I'm thinking about this more and more, and at least for a lot of years, just do top 10s, and then maybe at a later time I'll do like a more in-depth list, because some of these years I had 40, 50 albums that I think are worth talking about. But I have Friday off. I'm going to the doctor, though, so Friday may be my goal to start it. My other second thought would be, if I'm not able to start doing these albums of the year quite so soon as I hoped, I might just do like an A to Z of the vinyl. That might be worth doing, because, and I've come to learn that there's a lot of vinyl records that I do not have, that I thought I had. The other predicament I'm in with the albums of the year thing and finding, it's not the vinyl, but it's the CDs. A lot of these CDs, there's one specific Case Logic book I still haven't tracked down. But I've got like the booklets or whatever. You know, the booklets, that's not really the booklet I'm talking about. But anyway, that's the long story as short as possible. So I did get one record within the last couple of weeks in the mail. I'm still expecting another shipment of some stuff, but I got the new King's X album, which came out last year, Three Sides of One, so I can show that briefly. I waited. I probably saved a little money and didn't have to, you know, freak out about like a lot of the fans were. I like this record. I forget where it finished in my albums of the year. Maybe I'll end up doing 2022, and you'll get to see where that finished again. It was in the top 30, I want to say. And I still feel, I could probably go back to it, I haven't really since last year, that it's one of those records where it's really better than the sum of its parts, but it only has a couple like really kind of favorite tracks, you know, Festival and Let It Rain. But there aren't too many songs that I'm, you know, just like I can't listen to that again, unlike a few of their records which have songs like that. So it's a double. And this version, I know, has some extra tracks, like demos, or because I was looking at the different versions when I ordered this on the probably on the D side. Does it say? Yeah, maybe not. I know there was a version that had extra tracks because I was looking on Discogs. That's the other project I'm going to have for myself, is to go on to Discogs finally. And not only with the vinyl, but with the vinyl to find the actual, you know, the barcode numbers. This doesn't even have one. Yeah, right there. They have the little side, and then they actually will give you ultimately an estimation of how much your collection's worth. But I want to do it not only for these vinyl records, but for my CDs, maybe even for the cassettes at some point. So. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I've never done this, and it's just like, you know, been a long process to have this organized. And like I mentioned on one of the last two videos, that yeah, we're not I'm not thrilled with living where I'm living right now, so we're gonna have to do this all over again. But at least at this point, it's all organized. I would think when we're gonna move again, we will. Oh, it did come with an extra copy of the CD too, which is kind of nice. I have it on CD. I remember I was kind of frustrated how long it was gonna take to get on CD, so so I will just now transition into Local Natives. Now, I talked about them briefly, saying they're not really prog. They do have some progressive tendencies. They have art rock or whatever. Their song Sun Hands, which is a staple live. And this is like, I saw them on Friday, the 18th, at First Avenue. The first time at First Avenue since COVID. I've seen probably well over 100 shows at First Avenue's main room. As much as I've had slight reservations with that venue, and it's a famous venue. Of course, you know, Purple Rain was filmed there and everything. You know, it still feels weird not to go there at this point, I suppose, and to finally go back there after the whole lockdown and no concerts and stuff. It was nice. But Sun Hands they did live, and this is like the 6th or 7th time I've seen them, and it's a showstopper. It's from their first album and also from their EP when they were known as Cobble at Rest, which I have back here. I was listening to some on Friday, and it's kind of proggy. I mean, it's got their early stuff really had a lot of organ and stuff. They don't use that as much anymore, but here's the set list. It features, well, this is the first show of the tour, so it's a spoiler if you're going to see Local Natives later this year, in this tour. 10-year anniversary of, I have my 3 records right here on vinyl. I thought I had the last one, Violet Street, but I do not. I was thinking about buying it. I got a t-shirt instead, but there's the debut album, Gorilla Manor. There's Sunlit Youth, the 3rd album, and this is the one that's the 10-year anniversary. This is a Hummingbird. But the set list, they did the complete Hummingbird in LA like on October 2nd. Now they're from the Southern California area, so that kind of made sense. But Minneapolis was the opening night of this tour in effect. They put out an EP, I think it was like 2020 or 2021, called Sour Lemon. And I made an error. It wasn't Lorena McKennett. It was Sharon Van Etten. And actually, the opening band was this woman named Annika Bennett, or Annika something. And she actually had one song that sounded like a Sheryl Crow song, Leaving Las Vegas. It's weird, but it was just her and a drummer. But she was all right, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking, oh, here we go, covering Sheryl Crow. But getting back to Local Natives, like I said, they featured stuff from Hummingbird and the new album, Time Will Wait for No One, which I haven't done a review of it. I've listened to it 4 or 5 times. It's kind of more subdued. It has a few decent tracks. But I mean, among their catalog, I can't say I like it more than anything in their catalog at this point. But it's still sometimes. You can see that Time Wait for No One was the first track they played. But I mean, they're great. They continually have this energy and this jungle rhythmic tribal element to the percussion and then the vocal harmonies, which are like, I've always likened to Crosby, Stills and Nash. I know they get pigeonholed with a lot of the quote unquote folk revival, indie folk, Pitchfork stuff, Grizzly Bear and Fleet Foxes and a lot of those bands. I actually did like Fleet Foxes briefly, but I think Local Natives stand out in a lot of ways. Among other reasons, they're really good singers and they have really cool instrumentation. But yeah, I mean, it was a great show. I wasn't disappointed. Even some of the new songs I thought worked well. They didn't do some of the early stuff, but they did do. This doesn't have the encore. The song when Am I Gonna Lose You from Violet Street, the last album, which I did not see him on that tour. And then they did do it in the encore, which I was really excited when they did it because I love that track. It's a banger, really. It's just a standout on that album. And the album's got a lot of good tracks on it. I want to buy the vinyl. I will buy the vinyl. However, it didn't quite have the power and the sort of energy I was sort of anticipating. I think they should open with it, but I know they closed with it in LA when they did the complete Hummingbird, and it's probably been pretty much a staple, a live track for them. So, and I'm not really fully doing the Local Natives album reviews video here, but having revisited their whole catalog, I almost feel like doing that. But maybe I'll save that for another day. When I go back to the new record, maybe if I have time. But so anyway, that's kind of my review. I mean, like I said, the set list has, like Megaton Mile. That's from believe that's from Hummingbird. You know, they did Wide Eyes from Gorilla Manor. I mean, there's a lot of Gorilla Manor songs I love. I still contend that that song off of the Orion Way EP, When They Were Called Russ, is my favorite track from them. We Could Love, but yeah, they have these dreamy moments. Was it Past Lives? Yeah, Past Lives. It's dreamy. I was getting that in my head for hours after the show the other day. Dark Days. Some of the other. I mean, you know, I'm actually kind of thinking, as much as I love Gorilla Manor, and it's probably considered by their fans their best record, this is arguably about as good. I feel like they were a consistent band, and now I'm kind of thinking the early stuff is where their catalog stands out, but they're still worth listening to. The new album, the album has a few new songs I like. The last couple of records have a handful of tracks I like, but this record may stand the test of time as being as good, if not better, than their debut album in some ways. And they waited like 4 years to make this thing. That was the other thing about it. So it was definitely a case of putting a lot of time and effort and thought into a record, and it kind of stood out. So anyway, I think that's about it. Like I said, I mean, the next couple days my mother-in-law is going to be here, so I'm probably not going to. I don't know if I'm going to be able to start on these two projects I'm talking about, either doing a vinyl collection series or starting on the albums of the year. Because I'm trying to, you know, find all the CDs that go on the, you know, in these lists and the booklets. Because I have Case Logic books that I've had that I used to have in the jukebox CD players, and that's why they all got separated over the years. And they were in boxes and bins and cases and stuff. So I'm doing this long kind of long-winded, almost endless project of trying to, you know, match them up, and so I have stuff organized so I can put down and show physical copies as opposed to having your image here or there, which I may still have to do because I just don't have a lot. And there's one big Case Logic book which has a lot of my jazz stuff. Some of that stuff I do not have on compact on vinyl, which I'm still hunting for. I don't know where. I thought I had it when we moved here, and I have one that's of the same size, but I don't know where the other one is. It's somewhere here, I hope. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed, and we'll see you next time.